Like, hello and welcome to Raus IAS. This is the Daily News Simplified for the date 26 May 2024. And for our today's discussion, we will be discussing these 5 articles. The articles include wider net for health insurance, flash droughts, cyclones, Iran's president's death and its impact on the region, and finally, China-Pakistan economic corridor. Okay, so let's begin with today's discussion. But before it, we have brought in DNS MCQ compilation, which is accessible in the form of PDF also and via registering or via login in our eLearn Raus portal, which is elearn.rausis.com. You can solve these MCQs in online format. Okay, so this is how you can take benefit of our DNS MCQ compilation. Now with this, let's start our today's discussion. The first article for our today's discussion is inspired by this news article which appeared on the page number 11 of the Hindu Business Line. Now this article talks about the benefits of health insurance, that why it is needed. Plus, recently the insurance regulator, that is IRDAI, has done certain reforms in the insurance sector. Okay, so these reforms have been highlighted in this article. Now, this article is important for us for our GS paper 2 social justice. Under the syllabus head, issues related to development and management of social sector or services, especially related to health. Okay. Now, in this broad theme of health, we have seen UPSC has asked questions many number of times. Okay. So you can see these themes and you can try to practice these questions. Now, with this, let's start our discussion regarding this article, that we need a wider insurance coverage for Indian population. Now, starting with this article, let's discuss about the term health. We know what is health. Health is the physical well-being, mental well-being, as well as social well-being of the population. And we know that a healthy body is vital to do any kind of functions, whether employment or education needs or any kind of functions. Okay. Now, in India, government has done a slew of reforms in the public health institutions by establishing public health institutions, and also we have seen revolution in the private healthcare facilities, right? But the thing here is that we need universal health coverage for every individual in India. Okay, and there is a goal that government of India aims to acquire universal health coverage to every citizen of India by the year 2030. And what do we mean by universal health coverage? This means that there should be quality healthcare throughout India, and these healthcare systems, they should be accessible from any location, whether remote locations, rural areas or urban areas. Also, they should be affordable. Okay, so this is the central idea of universal healthcare system. Okay, so how can universal healthcare system function? The first thing is, if government spends more on its health budget. Okay, this is the first thing, that by increasing the public healthcare expenditure. Second thing is that we need to reduce the out of pocket expenditure of population of India. Now, one component for reducing out of pocket expenditure will be by providing them insurance. Correct? So if we insure the wider Indian population, then their out of pocket expenditure would be reduced. Okay, so that's why there is a need to widen the insurance cover for every individual of India. So this is the basic outline. Okay, that why do we need healthcare? Why do we need insurance? Now let's understand this even in detail. Now see, first of all, we have high out of pocket expenditure in India and low public healthcare expenditure. Now, this can be seen from the fact that in the financial year 2019-2020, the out of pocket expenditure as compared to the total health expenditure of India was around 47%. That is, out of total healthcare expenditure, 47% was out of pocket expenditure, right? That is, people who spend out of their pocket, and especially in private healthcare systems. Okay, And if we see the government spending in the healthcare sector, we can see this graph which shows that from the financial year 2015 to the financial year 2020, government spending, public healthcare spending has increased, right? Now, earlier it was 1.13% of India's GDP, and in the financial year 2020, the spending is around 1.35% of India's GDP. Okay, though this spending is increasing, but still, see, government in its national health policy in the year 2017 made a target that in future we will spend around 2.5% of India's GDP in healthcare institutions to strengthen public healthcare. Okay, but as of now we only spend around 1.3% of India's GDP in healthcare. So this brings to our first point, that we have high out of pocket expenditure as well as low public health expenditure. Okay, now if we talk about high out of pocket expenditure, the maximum portion of out of pocket expenditure goes in secondary as well as tertiary healthcare segment. Okay, so in this, that is 75% of out of pocket expenditure goes in treating secondary diseases or tertiary healthcare systems. And in this system, the major stronghold is with the private healthcare facilities. So they can be less affordable to people, right? Now, why do we need insurance here? Because, the lifestyle diseases. If we talk about tertiary healthcare, it comprises the treatment of lifestyle diseases. For example, cancer, diabetes, various other pulmonary diseases. It can also comprise asthma, and these all diseases. Okay, so we know that the non-communicable disease burden in India is increasing, coupled by climate change. In future, this will also increase in future, right? So, and plus one more thing, that as the population of India is increasing, the share of elderly population in it is also increasing. Now, see, presently around 12 to 15 crore of Indian population comprises of senior citizens, that is people who are above the age of 65 years. It is estimated that by the year 2050, their share in population will double, right? So the disease burden, or say the healthcare burden on the public as well as private healthcare institutions in future is going to increase, right? And also the out of pocket expenditure of people will increase if they are not provided with insurance coverage. Okay, got with this idea? That's why we need insurance percolation. And other thing is that informal sector. We know that around 90% of Indian population, it is employed in informal sector, where they are devoid, where they are not given social security benefits. And insurance is one of the social security benefits which they are not given. That is, they have to spend majorly from their pockets, right? So that's why we need to cover them by expanding insurance coverage. Now, also, there is a limitation of private insurance. Now see, some population of India, around 20% of Indian population is insured by taking private insurance. But there is a moral hazard in it. This means that the person who is taking insurance is not disclosing his prior conditions to the insurance providers. As a result, when he wants to reap the claim of insurance policy, then he can be denied of the claim because he has not disclosed his prior condition, okay, or pre-existing condition. As a result, what happens that insurance companies, in order to avoid any loss, they increase the prices of insurance premium, okay. So this makes taking insurance unaffordable to the major segment of Indian population, okay. Also, see, there is a missing middle problem in India. Now, what is this missing middle problem? See, 50% of Indian population, the bottommost 50% of Indian population is covered by the PM Bharat, by the Prime Minister Jan Arogya Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, right? Now let's talk about, firstly, let's talk about Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. You know, Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana is the world's largest healthcare insurance facility which is provided by government. This covers the bottommost 50% of Indian population, and if we talk about numbers, it insures 10 crore families of India, or we can say it insures around 50 crore population of India. Okay, so these people, they are selected, first of all, these people are selected by the socio-economic caste census of the year 2011, and they are provided a coverage of rupees 5 lakh per family per year. Okay, and this coverage, it covers pre-hospitalization as well as post hospitalization cost. Okay, pre plus post hospitalization cost is covered under this insurance scheme. Okay, and these are around 50%. Around 50% of Indian population is covered by Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, and around 20% of Indian population have taken insurance from private insurers. Okay, but what about the 30% of Indian population who is neither covered by Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana nor they can afford private insurance? So this is the problem of missing middle. That is, more than 40 crore people of India are devoid of any insurance. That is why we need to lower the insurance premium in order to bring them in the insurance fold. Okay. Also, as we talked about Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, this scheme itself has certain limitations. Now let's discuss about that. What are the issues, certain issues with Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana? That is, people who are supposed to be, that is 50 crore people who are by theory covered under this Yojana, they may face certain challenges. What is the first challenge? First challenge is that, see, I told you that this scheme comprises of pre-hospitalization and post-hospitalization charges. It covers it. Okay, but it does not cover outpatient charges, OPD, outpatient charges. This means that in order to claim the benefit under PM Jan Arogya Yojana, the person has to be hospitalized. He has to be admitted in the hospital. If that person is just visiting the OPD department and he is not being admitted in the hospital, he would not be provided the cover. And this OPD, this outpatient cover, this outpatient requirement is generally larger than this hospitalization requirement. This means that there are more number of OPD patients in India than the patients who need to be admitted in hospitals, right? So we can say that virtually, or we can say that this scheme, this excludes the OPD patients, right? A larger number of patients are excluded. Now, second thing is low hospital empanelment. Now see, under this, the benefit of this Yojana can be taken in any empaneled public hospital as well as private hospital, which is covered, okay, which is covered by this scheme. But in certain states, there are only fewer hospitals which are covered under this scheme. So the hospitals, they are fewer in number, plus they are very far from the locality of people. So they may miss out taking the benefit of this scheme, right? And other thing is that for the functioning of this scheme, there are inadequate funds released by the government. So the funds which are the yearly budget of PMJAY is even less than the yearly out of pocket expenditure which is done, which is incurred by the patients. Okay, so this is the need, that why do we need wider insurance coverage. Now see, recently government has done certain reforms in this regard. What is the first reform? Now see, earlier there was a age limit of 65 years. That is, there was a cutoff age of 65 years above which no insurance benefit could be provided to the people who are above the age of 65. But recently, very recently, government has done a reform that it has eliminated the age-based cutoff barrier. That is, now there is no age-based cutoff limit. People of any age in India can be insured under the existing insurance policies. This is the first reform. Okay. Now, what is the second reform? Second reform is lower waiting period. Now, what is waiting period? Waiting period means that, say there is a person who has taken a insurance policy. Okay. Now, this person, to reap the claim, to reap the benefit of this insurance policy, he has to wait for certain years. Say for some cases it is 3 years, for some cases it is 4 years. So in this waiting period, he would not be able to get benefit from the insurance policy. But now what government has done, government has lowered the waiting period for certain sections. For example, for maternity care, you know that maternity care is becoming more expensive day by day. So what government has done, earlier there was a waiting period of 3 years to access the benefits of health insurance policies. Now this waiting period has been reduced to 9 months. Okay. And for pre-existing diseases, for pre-existing tertiary diseases, which we discussed, like asthma, cancer, pulmonary diseases, diabetes, the waiting period has been reduced from 4 years to 3 years. Okay. And in this maternity care, the insurance policy, now they also provide pre and postnatal care up to 90 days. Okay. So these are certain reforms which government has done. Now what is the way forward? The way forward is that there should be proper regulation on the insurance products which are being delivered, especially by the private companies. So there should be proper regulation of the insurance products such that there should be greater transparency, right? Such that the claims which are made by the insurers or the customers, they should be protected, their interests, such that the interest of consumers should be protected. Okay, that greater regulation on the private healthcare insurance providers. And secondly, what can be done? There can be tailor-made insurance policies for every section of population. Say for the age group of, say, 0 to 15 years, or say from, these are random numbers, say from 20 to 35 years, there should be tailor-made specific plans. Okay, and based on population or based on gender or by certain other categories, there should be low premium tailor-made insurance products, okay, in the market. Now this was all for this article. Now let's see our second article, which appeared on the page number 11 of The Hindu. Now this article says that warming climate intensifies flash droughts worldwide. Now, you know this flash droughts, because of global warming, because of rising temperatures, flash droughts, their intensity has increased, and it is predicted that their intensity in future will increase further. Okay, this is what this article says. Now, this article is important for our GS paper 3, disaster management. Under the syllabus head, disaster and disaster management. In the previous years, we have found questions on urban flood, earthquake. Even a question was asked on drought in the year 2014. Okay, so let's see this article, see this topic. Now we have discussed the topic of drought in detail on the DNS dated 23 April 2024. If you want to know about certain kinds of droughts, there are 5 major types of droughts. Normal droughts, what are its consequences, what is the way forward, okay, then you can refer to this DNS video of 23 April 2024. Today we will be talking about flash droughts. They are different from normal drought, which we saw earlier. Okay, now let's start. First of all, what is flash drought? Flash drought, that is rapid onset or rapid intensification of normal drought. Okay, this is known as flash drought. Now let's understand normal drought. See, what is normal drought? Normal drought simply means the absence of precipitation or absence of rainfall or lower rainfall in any area for an extended period of time, or lower rainfall than the LPA, long period average, for that particular reason. Now see, if there is a deviation, now presently the long period average rainfall of India is 86.8 centimeter, When there is a deviation of 26 to 50% from this number from LPA, this is known as moderate drought. And when there is more than 50% deviation from long period average, this is known as extreme drought. Okay. Basically, this means lack of precipitation. So, what is flash droughts? It is the rapid intensification of normal drought. Okay, and this can be caused by certain factors. First of which is already if there is low precipitation, because of which there will be low moisture. Okay. Second thing is low precipitation coupled with all these factors. What are these factors? Abnormal rise in temperature. That is, if any particular area there is already low precipitation plus there is abnormal rise in temperature or abnormally high temperature along with the presence of heat wave along with high radiative forcing. This coupled with the presence of stronger winds. Stronger winds will lead to rapid loss of moisture. Okay. Now let's understand what happens due to abnormally high temperatures. We all know that because we are burning fossil fuels, as a result, there is a greater concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Okay. And these greenhouse gases, they have enormous heat trapping potential. Now, if we talk about sun, say this is sun and this is earth. Now we know that energy from sun reaches earth in form of incoming solar radiation, right? And this energy, this escapes out from earth at night in form of IR or infrared radiation in form of heat. Okay. But now we know that due to the higher presence of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, this heat is not released fully or properly. As a result, this heat is being trapped in the atmosphere. Now, more the heat is trapped or more there is an imbalance in the energy transfer, more there is an imbalance in energy transfer, more is radiative forcing. So, radiative forcing, it measures the amount of imbalance in the heat transfer or energy transfer. Okay. Now, because of all these conditions, low precipitation, higher radiative forcing, abnormally high temperatures, what will happen? The moisture, it will evaporate more faster. There will be higher evapotranspiration. Okay. So, there will be rapid loss of moisture. Along with it, the strong winds, there will be rapid loss of moisture. So, this will lead to rapid intensification of drought-like condition. Now, one difference. Now, let's understand that what is difference between normal drought and flash droughts. Okay. See, there is a difference in their onset speed. These flash droughts, they develop rapidly within a few weeks, whereas normal droughts, they can develop slowly over months or over years. And these conditions, they remain at any period for at least for over a season. Okay, such conditions remain for at least over a season in any particular area, region. But the conditions of flash droughts, they remain for just about a month. Okay. Second thing is duration. Yeah, they have typically short-lived but have immediate severe impact. This is what they have, a short-lived duration, but they have a extended duration which is more than a season, sometimes multiple years together, right? And what are the causes? As we have already discussed, the causes are atmospheric conditions such as high temperature, low humidity, strong winds, okay, and lesser precipitation. And what are the conditions of normal drought? Generally, it is lack of precipitation, lack of rainfall, okay. And what are the impacts? There will be enormous impact. See, this flash droughts, as its onset is rapid, okay. So the onset of normal drought is in one sense more predictable as compared to the onset of flash droughts. As a result, estimating that any region would be vulnerable, any region would be prone to flash droughts is more difficult, okay, and it has more destructive potential as compared to normal drought, okay. So these impact would be effects on agriculture, water supply and ecosystem health. Let's see these impacts in detail. Now see, what would be the first impact? It would be the intensification of agricultural losses plus economic losses. See, generally flash floods, they occur at any region in summer season. Okay, why? Because it requires abnormally high temperature rise, and normal droughts, they can occur in any season. Okay, but flash droughts, they occur in summer season only. And in summer season we plant an important cereal crop, which is rice. Rice is a kharif crop, paddy or rice, which is planted in summers. Okay, and it is water intensive crop, we all know this. Now if in any region there would be occurrence of flash droughts, then most likely the kharif, the rice production is going to suffer. Okay, and we know that India is the major exporter of rice throughout the world. Okay, so this will also lead to supply chain disruptions. Okay, so first of all, it will lead to the issue of food insecurity. Okay, the food production will decline. Second thing, this will impact on farmers' income. Obviously, they will face economic losses. Third thing, as India exports enormous amount of rice, then this will create food insecurity even in the region. Okay, on the countries who import rice from India. Okay. Second thing is, this will lead to water scarcity. Water scarcity in the sense that, because of lower precipitation, the aquifers, they will dry. Okay, and because they won't recharge, and there will be water scarcity, plus there will be loss in soil moisture. As a result, there will be scarcity of drinking water as well as water for industrial purposes. Okay, third thing is, see, this flash droughts, they are accompanied by heat waves. Okay, now together these heat waves, this can be fatal. It can cause strokes, heat strokes. Okay, and various other health issues in the population. And also finally, this will result in ecological stress or stress to the ecology. Okay, destruction of flora, fauna, stress on ecosystems, destruction of microbiota. Okay, so these will be some of the issues. Now, what is the way forward? The way forward is that, first of all, there should be more investment should be done on developing advanced early warning systems. Now, recently, if you are following news, India is going to launch NISAR satellite. NISAR satellite is basically a radar, which is a joint project of NASA as well as ISRO. Okay, so India, this radar is going to be launched later in the year 2024. Okay, maybe in December 2024. So see, this is an advanced radar which has soil sensors. That is, it can monitor the presence of soil moisture. Okay, so monitoring soil moisture becomes very important to ascertain that if there is an onset of flash drought. Okay, so we have to invest more in early warning system, plus there should be risk mapping in certain zones which are more vulnerable to heat waves. Because if we know the zones which are vulnerable to heat waves, plus we have data, long period average data of rainfall, so we can ascertain that, okay, this area can be prone to flash floods nearby in near future. Second thing is, what can be way forward? Agricultural adaptation. See, our agriculture, first of all, we have to shift towards those crops which are drought tolerant species. Okay. Second thing is, our irrigation system, they have to be more efficient. We should use modern irrigation systems such as a sprinkler or drip irrigation systems. Okay. And thirdly, we can use nature-based solutions. For example, zero tillage systems. Okay. For example, crop covering method. So these are some of the systems which we can do such that the soil moisture is preserved. Okay. And then what we can do? Water management. First of all, we can do rainwater management. And then what we can do? We can do lining of irrigation canals such that water is not leaked. And we can do repair and maintenance of aquifers, desilting of aquifers, ponds. Okay, this can be done. And finally, what we can do? We can make effective disaster response plans. Say, if there is an onset of flash floods at that time, what can be done? At that time, certain emergency fund should be established beforehand to support the farmers because they would be facing with food insecurity, right? There would be loss of employment. So an emergency fund should be created for this purpose, and then there should be a provision of alternate livelihood opportunities or options which can be given to people at that time. Also, farm support can be given in form of the technological support or any fund which can be given to farmers at that time. Okay, so these are some of the measures which can be adopted in order to prevent such situations, right? Now with this, let's move on to our next article, which appeared on the page number 7 of the Hindu. Now this article says that Remal, which is a cyclone, which this cyclone which is created in the central eastern Bay of Bengal. So this cyclone is going to intensify into severe cyclone, and today in the midnight it is going to hit the coastal areas of West Bengal as well as Bangladesh. Okay, so this cyclone has intensified, is going to intensify into severe cyclone. Now this topic is important for us for our GS paper 1 geography. Under the syllabus head, important geophysical phenomena such as earthquake, tsunami, volcanic activity, cyclone. Okay, and see, in the past years UPSC has asked certain questions regarding cyclones, tropical cyclone basically. So as Remal is a tropical cyclone, so today we will be discussing tropical cyclones. Okay, now first of all, what are cyclones? What are cyclones? Cyclones are the low pressure systems. Okay, first of all, cyclones are low pressure. Okay, let's talk about tropical cyclones. Okay, so what are tropical cyclones? Tropical cyclones are low pressure systems which are formed over tropical areas, that is between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. Why? Because we will see why. Because of the presence of higher heat-like conditions, because of the presence of more temperature. Okay, now basically in a cyclone there is a low pressure center, and the air masses, they circulate, they inwardly spiral around the low pressure center. So this is known as cyclone. Now to understand cyclone, we have to remember two important facts. First thing is that, see, the air, it flows from high pressure to low pressure, right? The second thing is that the earth, as it rotates from west to east, now because of the presence of Coriolis force, because of the presence of Coriolis force, any body which is in motion in the northern hemisphere will be deflected towards its right, and this is in northern hemisphere, and any body which is in motion in southern hemisphere would be deflected towards its left. Okay, so this is two important things, that the presence of Coriolis force and winds move from high pressure to low pressure. Okay, so now let's see certain conditions which are essential for the formation of cyclones. Now first condition is presence of huge water body. Okay, cyclones, tropical cyclones, they are made, they form, tropical cyclones, they form over ocean body. So first of all, we need large moisture content or a presence of a large water body. Okay, second thing is the temperature. There should be a rise in ocean temperatures over 26.5 degrees centigrade. Generally, when the ocean surface, its temperature rises over 27 degrees centigrade, then these are the conditions for formation of cyclones. Okay, third thing is that there should be certain pre-existing conditions which should be present. For example, already a low pressure should be created, which would be further fueled as the cyclone develops. Okay, the fourth thing is that there should be presence of Coriolis force, right, because of which the winds will deflect. And see, because of the presence of Coriolis force, the cyclones in the northern hemisphere, they move in anti-clockwise. Okay, And in the southern hemisphere, the cyclones, they move in clockwise direction. And finally, there should be low wind shear. This means that, see, if this is the surface of ocean and this is the air parcel, okay, this is the wind or the air parcel, vertical air parcel. So we know this air parcel is formed by various layers of air, okay. So the velocity of wind at this position at the bottommost layer should be equal or nearly equal to the velocity of this air parcel in the topmost layer. Because if this is not present, if the velocities are different at the topmost layer and bottommost layer, what will happen? This will impact, this will destroy the formation of the cyclonic system, right? The cyclones will not sustain. So there should be a laminar flow. There should be a laminar flow of this air partial, or we can say there should be low wind shear such that the cyclonic formation is not disturbed. Okay. Now let's understand quickly that, because we have seen all these pre-existing conditions, let's quickly understand that how a cyclone is formed. Now see, now there is a huge water body, ocean, tropical seas, consider Bay of Bengal, okay. So because the sea temperatures, ocean temperatures have risen more than 27 degrees centigrade, what will happen? At any portion, there will be the formation, thus there will be enormous heating of this ocean layer, and because of which there will be the development of low pressure zone here. Low pressure in the sense that if the layer of ocean is heated, then what will happen? The warm air will rise up. We all know that when the air is heated, it expands, and when air expands, this it rises up, okay. So at this low pressure center of any cyclone, which is also known as eye of the cyclone, at this center the air will rise upwards. As we can see in this image, the warm air is rising upwards, and this air rises up to a certain height, generally 10 kilometer or more than, or somewhat around 10 to 12 kilometer. This air rises till that much height, and after which this air, when this reaches a certain height, it cools down. When it cools down, this air condenses, okay. Now we know that this hot air on the ocean surface, it is taking enormous amount of moisture with it, okay, from ocean. And when this air cools down, this moisture, it condenses, and then there is the formation of clouds, okay, here. And then these clouds are generally cumulonimbus clouds. And if we understand this cyclonic, if we see this vertical section of a tropical cyclone, we find certain elements. First of all, there is this eye of the cyclone, which is the low pressure center. Generally, this spreads out from 20 kilometer to 40 kilometer, and this is the calmest region of any cyclone. That is, above this eye of the cyclone, no clouds are found. Okay, so this is the calmest regions with no presence of strong wind. But outwards, just a minute. But outwards of this eye, we can see that there is the formation of clouds, okay, outside this eye wall, okay. And when this system, and because of the presence of Coriolis force, the system is moving, okay. So we can see that certain depressions in the oceans, they move. And as we know that because of jet streams or trade winds, they, because of presence of winds, they are, these cyclonic depressions, they are moved from western sides to the eastern sides. That's why the eastern coast of any country, particularly if we talk about India, the eastern coast is more vulnerable to the cyclone, to being hit by any cyclone, okay. Now as these cyclones, they are moving from west direction to east directions, when they come towards the land coast, then they would hit the land, okay. This is known as landfall. When these cyclones, if this is eastern coast of India, this cyclone is moving towards eastern coast, and when it will hit the eastern coast, then what will happen? It's this eye which is fueling moisture. Okay, so see, as the cyclone hits the coast, this system which is generating moisture, this will get destroyed. Okay, and subsequently the cyclone will, its intensity will diminish, and it will cause landfall or rainfall in the eastern regions. Generally, a cyclone is associated with heavy rainfall, storm surges, rise in the ocean levels, and heavy storms. Okay, so this is how a cyclone is created in brief. Okay, so in UPSC in the year 2015 asked this particular question. Now we can solve this question. This question asks that in the South Atlantic and Southeastern Pacific regions in tropical latitude, cyclone does not originate. What is the reason? The reason is that because the sea surface temperature at these locations is low. Okay. And now let's solve a practice question to test our knowledge. This question says that which of the following statements about tropical cyclones are correct? The first statement says it originates and develops over warm oceanic surface. This is a correct statement. Second statement says presence of Coriolis force is necessary for it. This is also correct statement. It occurs in mid-latitude region. See, tropical cyclones, they occur only in tropical regions. Okay. It develops eye with calm and descending air condition. Okay, this is also a correct statement. Now, what is the correct option? Option B is correct option. Now, the IMD, Indian Meteorological Department, uses certain, it classifies cyclones in certain categories. These categories are super cyclone, like for example, the cyclone will start as low pressure center, it will intensify as deep depression, then into a cyclonic storm, then into a severe cyclonic storm, and then into a super cyclone based on its wind speed in kilometer per hour. Don't cram this. This is just for an idea. Okay, just read it. Don't cram it. And also the cyclones are categorized into category like category 1, 2, 3 based on their wind speed in kilometer per hour. Okay. And now what is the system of naming cyclones in Indian Ocean region? Presently, the cyclone which is coming, which has been originated, developed, this has been named as Remal. Okay. So what is the system of naming cyclones in Indian Ocean region? That is cyclones which are originating in Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea. See, what happens that there are certain countries, earlier there were 8 countries in the Indian Ocean region which gave a list of names. See, this is a list of names, but recently some 5 more countries have been added. Okay, so these are 13 countries which contribute certain names in this list of cyclones. Okay, so this list is contributed to the Regional Tropical Cyclone Committee, which is constituted by the World Meteorological Organization. Now what has happened? What happens? The panel members, these names of countries, they are listed alphabetically, and one cyclone is picked from here in this sequence. Like firstly, the names of cyclones in column 1 will be picked. After the names are exhausted, then we will move to column 2 and we will proceed in this order. Okay, like for example, if today we have a cyclone which is Remal, the next cyclone will be Ashna. Okay, and then the names, they are selected and maintained by a Regional Tropical Cyclone Committee under World Meteorological Organization, and the name should be culturally appropriate and easy to remember. Okay, and this list of cyclones names, this is submitted after every 4 years. So this list had been submitted in the year 2020, and this will be used till the year 2020 and 2024. Okay, so this is how the cyclones are named in Indian Ocean region. Okay, now with this, let's move on to a next topic which appeared on the page number 12 of The Hindu. Now this topic says that how will Iran's president's death impact the region? The context of the news article is that recently we saw that the president of Iran, he died in a helicopter crash. Okay, now when the president of Iran is dead, now this article says that how his death will impact the regions, and we will see that what would be the impact of his death in India also. Okay, so now this article is important for our GS paper 2 international relations. Under the syllabus at India and its neighborhood relations, as we know that Iran is also one of the extended neighbors of India. Okay, Now see, based on the developments which are occurring in our neighborhood, UPSC has asked certain questions. These are just for examples. Now see, let's understand that what is the regime, what is the political system in Iran. Now, first of all, Iran follows a semi-representative theocratic system. This means that in the political system of Iran, there is the presence of theocratic elements. Theocratic means religious elements. Okay. Plus, there is also the presence of democratic elements. There is a semi-representative government which is democratically elected. Plus, there is a theocratic or religious system which is followed in Iran. Now, let's understand what are its theocratic elements. First of all, there is a supreme leader who is presently, his name is Ali Khamenei. Ali Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. So, he is a supreme leader of Iran. Supreme leader means that he is a religious figure with ultimate political authority. Okay, now we know that Iran is the state religion of Iran is Shia Islam. So basically the rules of Iran, the governance or the legislation, this religion, it would have a major influence on these rules and governance system. Okay. Now, supreme leader, he holds the ultimate political authority. That is, he holds power over the armed forces there. He has power over judiciary and he has power over making legislations. Largely, the legislations in Iran are made by supreme leader. Okay. And now, what are the democratic elements? Apart from the supreme leader, Iran also has a president. So, in Iran, there are elections for president as well as for its parliament. Okay, the members are elected here. People can vote for candidates, but only those candidates contest who are approved by Guardian Council, which is also a part of theocratic element. Okay. So only certain people are allowed to contest the elections. And the president, he is an elected official who executes law and leads the government. So in nutshell, we can say that supreme leader, he holds a major place in forming legislation and those legislation is being executed by president. So president has a limited power of merely executing the legislation. Okay. So he is responsible for day-to-day government affairs and administrative functions, whereas the supreme leader, he sets critical and long-term strategies for the country. Okay. So we can see that if the president is dead, for of now, there is a vacuum. There is a power vacuum in Iran. But will the critical policies of Iran be changed? No. Because the long-term critical policies or strategies, they are framed by supreme leader, not by president, right? So we can see that nearly the impact of his death on the region is going to remain more or less same. Okay. Now, Reshi, earlier see in Iran, there has been a history of conflict between the president, some kind of friction between president and supreme leader. But Ebrahim Reshi, who was the president of Iran, who died recently, he shared a good relation with the supreme leader because both of them were extreme far right or extreme right wing. Okay. And in his reign, we saw certain policy shifts that we saw that Iran moved closer towards Russia and China. Iran supported non-state actors. See, Iran has been historically associated with funding and supporting certain non-state actors. These actors are Hamas. Hamas is a militant outfit based in Palestine, whose agenda is free Palestine. Okay. And then Hezbollah is also a kind of militant organization which is in Houthi in Yemen. Okay. Lebanon. Okay. So these are the militant outfits: Hamas in Palestine, Hezbollah in Lebanon, and Houthis in Yemen. So these are the militant outfits which are supported, funded, financed by Iran. Okay, historically, and this became more pertinent in the reign of Reshi. Okay. Also, we saw that he adopted an aggressive stance towards Israel. We can see that recently in April 2024, we saw that Iran did missile attacks on the military base of Israel. that earlier we saw that Iran was only limited to provide financial assistance to these non-state actors. But for the first time, we saw that Iran did a direct attack on the military base of Israel. Okay. So what would be the impact on the region? Now we can see that Iran's fundamental foreign policy is more or less is going to be same. That we can see its aggressive stance towards Israel and as well as its support to non-state actors is likely to continue. Okay. Also, its alliances with other countries like Russia and China, they are expected to continue, and its strategic initiatives the country took, such as expanding influence in Syria, Iraq, and Lebanon, they are going to continue, right? And then if we talk about other stakeholders in this region, for example, Israel. Now, because there is a power vacuum there is a temporary power vacuum, so this will give Israel an opportunity to strengthen its security measures and diplomatic efforts against Iran's influence. And then Saudi Arabia, which shares a historic rivalry with Iran. Iran is a Shiite country, and Saudi Arabia is a Sunni Muslim country. Okay, so there is a historical rivalry. So Saudi Arabia and other Gulf states, they will closely monitor the situation for any shift in Iran's approach towards the region. Okay, and then Turkey, who historically wanted to champion the Islamist causes, now it might exploit any existing vulnerability in the region in order to exert its dominance in the region. Okay, now let's talk about India. This is more important for us. See, India, since the Iranian Revolution of 1979, we have largely shared good ties with Iran. Okay, we have a long-term strategic relationship India has maintained with Iran. So we will likely continue our diplomatic engagement with Iran, and despite the change in leadership. Okay, and then our sense of sustaining strong ties with Iran can be seen from the fact that the Vice President of India, Mr. Dhankar, he visited Tehran, the capital of Iran, recently to offer condolences during the death of Iranian president. Okay, and then why is Iran important to us? Iran is important to us because of certain factors, certain trade related aspects, certain historically Iran has been a major supplier of crude oil to India. So India imported huge amount of crude oil from Iran till the year 2019, but since 2019 the trade with Iran is suspended. Why? Because India feared of certain sanctions, means United States threatened India of certain sanctions if we continue our trade with Iran. Okay, so now since 2019 the trade between the nations have been suspended, and then Iran is important for us for our trade and for transit. That is, Iran, we know that Iran provides gateway to India to access Central Asia, Russia. And we know one important project in this sense is Chabahar Port Agreement. And recently, in May 2024, India has signed a 10-year agreement to operate one terminal of Chabahar Port. So it is likely that this agreement, which we concluded recently, is unlikely to be impacted. Okay, and then see, we need to balance, India needs to balance its relations both with US and Iran. So we will find out certain solutions in order to resume our trade tie with Iran in future. And also we know that stability in Iran is necessary for two reasons. First of all, it is necessary for stability for regional security in the Middle East region, right? And finally, stability in Iran is also necessary for India's energy security, because if there is any kind of instability in Iran, this may impact the global crude oil prices, and this may also impact India. Okay. Now with this, let's move on to our final article for the day, which appeared on the page number 14 of The Hindu. This news article says that Pakistan Prime Minister will visit China in next month, in June 2024, for formally launching the second phase of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. Now let's see a few facts regarding China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. Let's see its location. So this is the western side of China. So see this infrastructure project. So what is CPEC? CPEC is more than 3000 kilometer infrastructural project, which is a series of road projects as well as road, which is a series of road infrastructure projects, railway infrastructure project, as well as sea routes, which is being created to link the western portion of China to the Gwadar port in Balochistan in Pakistan. Okay, so this CPEC, this will extend from Xinjiang province in China to the Gwadar port in Pakistan. Okay, so it's a major infrastructural project. It is a part of China's Belt and Road Initiative. This Belt and Road Initiative, this was launched in the year 2023. Oh, sorry, in the year 2013, and the CPEC is a part of this initiative. And so it is a network of road, railways, and pipelines connecting China's western Xinjiang region to the Pakistan Gwadar port on the Arabian Sea. And this is also to deepen the strategic relationship between China and Pakistan. And so we know that via the CPEC, Pakistan is providing China the access to Arabian Sea, right? Plus the Persian Gulf. So via this Gwadar port, China can access Persian Gulf as well as Africa also. Okay. Now see, this CPEC, this threatens India's sovereignty because it passes from Gilgit-Baltistan region, and which is located in Pak occupied Kashmir. Okay, so it violates India's sovereignty, and India is opposed to this project. Okay, now based on these facts, let's solve this practice question. We know in past UPSC has been asking questions regarding various infrastructural projects. We can see this question here. Now let's solve a question. This is a pretty simple question. It says that let's consider few statements with reference to China-Pakistan economic corridor. CPEC aims to connect Western China with Gwadar port of Pakistan. This is a correct statement. CPEC is a part of Belt and Road Initiative of China. This is also correct statement. This corridor passes through Gilgit-Baltistan region of Pakistan occupied Kashmir. This is also a correct statement. So the question is, how many of the above statements given above are incorrect? So our answer would be option D, none. Okay. So with this is the end of our today's session. If you have any doubt, you can ask us in the comment section. Okay. Thank you.